What's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by for another edition of March 4th with Mike Bauman. I, of course, am your host, Mike Bauman. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning listener, I greatly appreciate your continued love and support. And if you're a brand new listener of the show, man, thank you so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. You can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am also on YouTube and TikTok at March 4th Pod. The links to all of my stuff are in the podcast description for this episode. So that means if you made it here and you found me somehow, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to check out another edition of the March 4th with Mike Bauman podcast. How is everybody doing, man? I hope that life finds you well as this is hitting your eardrums. We are in the thick of summer, the dog days of summer, as it were. And I hope that everybody's getting a chance to go out to some awesome shows. There's a lot of great concerts and music festivals going on right now. That is what's great about this time of year, even though it is super hot out there. I know Warped Tour's going on. It's cool to see that coming back. We got a lot of awesome music going on in rock and metal, and we got a lot of throwback sound coming back as well, which I think is cool. A little hint, hint, wink, wink at this week's guest, which I'll get to in just a few minutes. But I hope that everybody's doing well. I hope that all of you are taking care of yourselves and keeping the faith, being kind to one another, being kind to each other, and being kind to yourself. Like I say at the end of every episode as a tribute to my grandfather, man, it's important. I know life is weird. I'm not going to get into all the stuff in the, political sphere and all of that crap because there's other places where you can find all of that. I try to use this platform as a space of positivity, learning about new music, having discussions about mental health, perseverance, moving forward, and marching forth. So that's what we're going to do. But I hope all of you are, like I said, taking care of yourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Make sure that you get enough rest, that you take some time to have fun, and that you put in the work for whatever your dreams are, man, because the only way to guarantee that they won't happen is if you quit. So don't quit, whatever your dream is, no matter how big it is. And you should dream big. We get one life to live, y'all. Just don't quit. Don't quit on yourself. Persevere through the self-doubt. Persevere through the pain. And one thing that I'll share with y'all that I read and came across recently that really helped me was learn to live beside it. You know what I mean? Actually, on Gethsemane from Sleep Token, that's what Vessel sings at the end of the song. I've learned to live beside it, and even though it's over now, I'll always be reminded. And like that hit me not only with something that I went through on a personal level, but it really helped me with my anxiety too. I struggle with anxiety and some OCD tendencies for those of you who are new to the show, and it's been something that I've dealt with my whole life. And I think, that old quote, "What resists persists." Sometimes when it comes to our flaws, we rail against them or we get mad at ourselves or we beat ourselves up, and really that just reinforces those negative attributes, if you will. And really, if you learn to cope and you learn to live beside it, and push through it and not try to fight or resist when it comes, whether it's a panic attack or whether it's general anxiety or any kind of fear or self-doubts that you have about yourself or your dreams. If you learn to like feel the fear and do it anyway, I think that's really helpful, and it's helped me in my life to push through and to get to a much better headspace and place in my life now than I was 4 years ago when I was really going through it. And so I just wanted to share that with y'all and just say, keep on trucking, man. It gets better. Trust me, as somebody who's like we all do, man. Life is full of ups and downs, but as somebody who's had kind of a rocky couple of years, this podcast has been a great respite. Therapy's been a great help taking care of myself mentally and physically. Your boy still needs to get more sleep. I tend to wear myself down a lot and burn the candle at both ends, but not like partying or anything like that. Nothing against that if that's your vibe, although just be safe and be smart, right? I digress, but more so just between work, doing the show. I've got a very active mind, man, and I don't know if you guys are like me, but when I kind of get like a cat. I get like the nighttime crazies, you know what I mean? Or like when a dog gets the zoomies, and at night my mind is real active and racing, and so I'm learning to like slow it down, calm myself and my mind before bed. But yeah, take care of yourselves, have fun this summer. I hope it's been going well for you guys. And speaking of sharing, fun stuff and fun new music, man, I say it all the time on this show, But one of the best things about getting to do this podcast, y'all, is that I get to connect with a lot of really awesome people out here. And a good buddy of mine, Mark Rosenfeld, who is in the band Bury the Darkness. He's a sick guitar player. They're a sick band out of Arizona. Check him out. But he linked me up with Joe Ticky from Overshadow Records a few months back, and Joe hooked me up with Sergio from A Moment's Notice. Shout out Sergio. I hope you're doing well, brother. And they're sick, and the whole Overshadow imprint is really awesome, man. And it's been really cool to connect with so many people like Joe and Mark and awesome bands on this show. And I saw that another artist on the Overshadow imprint had some new music coming out, and I had seen a couple of their things pop up, and I checked out their catalog and was like, man, these guys are sick. So Joe was kind enough to hook me up with none other than Resider. They're a SoCal nu-metalcore outfit. And the reason they call themselves that is because they blend elements of metalcore and new metal. You know, if you're a fan of like early 2000s, mid 2000s, you know, new metal, metalcore, but also bands nowadays like Mood Ring, I'm really into, Split Chain, Black Coast is another band. I hate making comparisons, but if bands like that are kind of in your wheelhouse, you'll be a fan of these guys. Flaw from back in the day is another one. Um, you will really enjoy this band, and they have a new EP that just came out on July 25th, just this past Friday, called Shade. It is really sick, and they've got an EP release show that they're doing on August 2nd. So it was really cool, man, for Joe to link me up with these guys right in the thick of the new EP coming out and the EP release show that's going to be happening this weekend. So I was really happy to get these guys on the show. We got AJ, the guitarist, and Will, the vocalist from Resider, on the show this week. And I was really, really stoked to talk to them. Some of my favorites from them are Death Adder, Gasfight, Icon, Rat Race, Recluse, Black Light Blue, Ishimura, which is off of the new EP Shade. So it was really cool to talk to these guys about the formation of the band, the music that they're making. Like I said, it's really cool because it's got like a throwback sound in some ways, but also still sounds really fresh. So again, I think how they build themselves as new metalcore is very, very appropriate. So without further ado, I'm going to shut my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with AJ and Will from Resider. Here it is. All righty, there we go, fellas. Well, the listeners didn't hear that part, but I just took 5 minutes of your life, just giving you basically my life story in 5 minutes to bring you up to speed. But Resider, welcome to the show. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I'm excited to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So just before we officially get rolling here, since we got two of yous, why don't you give people your names and what you play in the band, and then that way when you're talking, they know who's speaking.
You wanna go?
I'm AJ, and I play guitar in Resider.
What's up, everybody? I'm Will, and I am the vocalist of Resider.
Well, AJ, Will, thank you so much for taking the time again. I really appreciate it. When this hits people's ears, man, we've got new music on the way. We've got a show coming up for it. But I usually like to go back and kind of start at the beginning. There's definitely different influences I hear in y'all sound, especially from my era. In like early mid 2000s, and I love that era. But for you guys, man, what was your earliest musical memory? And then also, what kind of was the bug that bit you for heavier music and music that was more in that grittier realm like you guys play?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like, like a lot of it was just coming home and like finding new things the way that normal people do through friends or whatnot. But my dad was in the Navy, so he had this like binder that he would take with him when he would do they're not called tours. They're called like deployment. They're not deployments either, but they basically go on the boat for 9 months at a time. And all the guys, they're bored as hell on a boat for days, weeks at a time. So they all burn CDs and swap them. And my dad would bring that home. And then whenever he was home, I would just go through it and pick random CDs to listen to. And I feel like a lot of the ones that stuck out were like early Offspring, early Linkin Park, early Green Day. And the first band to really like catch on was Green Day. and I became a really big Green Day fan. And then yeah, Linkin Park kind of fell after and kind of did the heavier thing, and then kind of fell into those bands with like a little more of that edgier rock sound and some of the new metal. There was a lot of other stuff on there, you know, Creed and just losing track of all the like other bands. And then Metallica too was on there. But the band that really got me in was like going into Guitar Hero and being like, "Oh, what's this band All That Remains 6?" And I listened to that, and somebody's like, "Yeah, you got to listen to this." And then like AFI, and then it was just kind of like a spiral from there into the metal world. And then along with Metallica being around, and my dad loves Metallica, so that being prevalent kind of got me deeper and deeper into the metal category as it goes, and as YouTube pushes you further and further
Facts.
into it.
Facts. Yeah. And then mine, my family's always been musically inclined. Everyone more listened to like say maybe like Mexican music, like the Spanish like banda music, but my mom was super into like POD and like Disturbed and like stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And as time got further, I got into like Rise Against and like Incubus and Linkin Park and stuff like that. And we ended up going to see um we went to it was a Honda Civic tour of Linkin Park, and I pretty sure it was Incubus that opened that. And I remember, Incubus being my favorite band. I was just like, yo, this is sick. And then Linkin Park went on. They were doing the cycle for Living Things. So all very like electronic heavy music, but they have one song on the record called Victimized. And I remember sitting there, I remember this like it was yesterday, but I was sitting in my seat, and they start with it's like thrash drums, like taka 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 taka, and I was like, I don't remember listening to this song on the record, but what song is this? And then I just Chester just like rah, and I was like, yo, this is so sick. And it's just thrash drums like the entire time, and like Mike rapping and stuff. And I was like, dude, this is sick. I was like, this is so cool. So like it was just that I was like, maybe like heavier music is maybe the way. And then just from there on, just started listening to heavy bands and stuff. So but yeah, it was that moment. I was like, dude, that song is cool. So
Hell yeah, rest in peace to Chester, man. I think it was just recently, years like a day or two ago that he passed away. But man, that's one band I wish I would have got to see live when when he was still here, man. But that's sick. So for you guys musically, when did you each kind of start to get into like finding your voice musically? And kind of like, with the influences that you had or live shows that you went to where you're like, all right, let me see what I got with this.
I feel like earlier, like I didn't really know what I was getting into. I mean, I was in bands in high school and was like super obsessed with like a lot of the earlier metal medical metalcore bands, like All That Remains and stuff like that. And that kind of led into segues like Avenged Sevenfold and Asking Alexandria and Parkway Drive. And I remember going to some of those shows starting out being like, yeah, this is the coolest thing ever. Parkway Drive was one of the coolest bands that I got to see when I was like 17. And I was like, yeah, like this is awesome. And so I just kind of lumped myself into the genre for a while, and then, just kind of like tried a lot of stuff within metalcore to begin with, and was just like, yeah, like I want to do like melodic metalcore and like riffs and this, and then like adding in breakdowns and whatnot. And it just, I guess, just trial and error over the years of being in different bands, but like always kind of sticking to the same thing because the love of that genre has always kind of stuck to me.
yeah. I when I started playing guitar when I was like 14, I'd say. I just had like a beater, like Fender Stratocaster, and I was like, that's when I was like starting to get into the heavier music after seeing Linkin Park and stuff. And I was like, well, I'll learn Linkin Park songs. This is cool. I started getting into like the Amity Affliction and Silverstein specifically. So I was like, yo, these riffs are cool. Can I learn these ones? And just from there, I was like, yo, like playing riffs like this is like really cool. So um going forward, everything I ended up being a bass player after that, but like always when I got home, I was like, my favorite pastime was learning new Silverstein songs or like learning old Silverstein songs or like Amity Affliction songs and just playing them on guitar, even though I was a bass player. And I just was like, I want to keep playing riffs like this because they're really fun. So then experimenting with my own. And then when I wrote Spore Breath, our first song, um, it was very influenced by stuff like, I wouldn't say Silverstein in particular, but like in that genre of like metalcore. I was like, this, I think I did my like Fisher Price, my first metalcore song. Like this is like, I'm stoked on this. So that's kind of how that went.
Thanks for sharing that, man. Yeah, that one rips. That's a great one to have out the gate. That one's got a lot of energy, man. And just on that note, for you guys linking up and forming Resider, like it's been fun to go back and listen through your catalog. But how did Resider come to be with you guys?
You tell the story the best, actually.
the the curse story of the band prior into this band. Well, we had a band prior with a couple of them, well, three of the other members to start over COVID, and it was just like a heavier project, and we were all doing a heavier thing, and it wasn't designed ever to be like it wasn't designed to be a real band. It was designed to be a COVID like fun heavy project. Let's see how belligerent we can get with it. Let's see how ridiculous it can be. And it kind of was sort of turning into a real band, and we were like a little unhappy. I think everyone was a little unhappy and uneasy with the type of music and turning that into a band because at the end of the day, the project was made for fun and not made to be a real band. So when it tried to be a real band, it wasn't like all the boxes weren't being checked, you know? So it's kind of like a relationship where you're dating somebody and then you're starting to think about getting married. You're like, hey, everything isn't right here. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. But everyone was a little unhappy about it. And then some events played out that weren't the best. Um, and we ended up having a call and a conversation, and we ended up being like, well, let's go back to our roots. Let's do something more like palatable. Let's do something more fun. Let's write the music that we want to write and that we know that we're good at, but not like do all this crazy extra stuff. And so we ended up with Resider sort of coming out of that band, and that was set up better, and the restructuring was set up better to be more successful in the end. Like we set Resider up in the beginning to be a band and not just be this COVID project that had all this crazy shit that we couldn't actually do.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, all right, now we have a real band kind of out of it. And then yeah, we came Spore Breath had already been written at that time, so when he gave me the demo and I put vocals onto it, we're like, okay, there actually might be something here that we're all happier with and we would be better off doing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a weird segue, you know?
Yeah. It was like we weren't expecting it, but after like really stepping back and being like, all right, we want to do the band thing. Do we want to do it like the 7 string and like unplayable parts basically? Like, I don't know if this is what we want to do. And then we locked in. We were like, well, I kind of like this band and I kind of like this band. And I was like, okay, I also like those bands. Do you guys like this song? And then I showed everyone Sport Breath. And they were like, yo, this 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 could be the start, low key.
Yeah.
So we hit the ground running with that. And
Yeah. It also took some of the restructuring too and figuring out what people wanted to do, you know, like over having two vocalists, you know, going to one vocalist and putting forward more singing and more melodic parts and more, I hate using the words like commercial and marketable, but more and even radio friendly irks me, but more things that are geared for like what we grew up listening to in the early 2000s and new metal and like things that it's like, okay, cool. Like I grew up listening to heavy rock bands and new metal bands that had choruses. I want to sing choruses. I don't want to do a whole part where it's all screaming and like it's not this thing that anybody can just be like, yeah, that's sick regardless. Like I don't want to show somebody at work and they go, well, this is just unlistenable. Like I can't listen to this because it's too crazy. But somebody hears Resider and they're like, well, the screaming part I can kind of ignore, but the chorus is catchy, man. Like that's been stuck in my head, you know? That's kind of where we went with it.
mm-hmm.
I appreciate you guys sharing the background because yeah, I mean, listening to it, I definitely feel like the songs would translate very well to a live show. Like the cool kind of breakdown parts. There's some cool electronic elements to it, but it definitely gave me, like you were saying, like early 2000s, like hard rock, new metal vibes. Some of the ones that stuck out to me, I mean, obviously I love Death Adder, Icon. I loved Blacklight, Blue, Recluse. I really love the melody and that one. That was really cool. And lyrically, I related to that one a lot. But the melody in that is really sick, man. But it was cool to go back and listen from the jump, man. But yeah, these are all songs that I feel like a Resider live show would be freaking sick, man. Like, is it fun translating these to an audience? Because there's just so many moments like listening to these songs where I'm like, yeah, these dudes are like they're getting after it, and I especially like some of the breakdown parts. Like, I just feel like listening to it, I was like, I feel like I could be in a crowd and really get into this.
Yes. Yes, that's it. That's what we needed. That's like it feels good to hear that because we spend like a lot of time making sure we can translate or like I mean in the writing process, like, can we play this live? Is this even playable live? Like we always have that thought in the back of our head, but when we comes to like putting the session together for our live show, it's always like, well, we want to make it a little bit different than the songs to some extent, you know. We have a song called Trend Killer. We play half of it, um, sometimes,
Sometimes.
sometimes, but we only play half of it because we want to get like the best out of it without doing the whole song. So it's fun, and I feel like most of our time writing and stuff is to structure it for live because we want to have as much fun as we can with it live. And
I think we also like plan out the set a little bit more
Mhm.
thoroughly. There's always like combinations of the set too, where we're like, we can't do that. We can't open with that song. We can't close with that
Yep.
song. Like it's not like, well, like when we wrote Death Adder, we're like, yeah, this is an opening song. Like this is
Hmm.
this is for sure an opening song. And then, but like when we wrote like Pissing, we're like, this is an ender, or like this is either like to the front of the set heavy or to the back of the set heavy. Like this isn't a middle of the set song. Like this is either we're coming out quick or we're ending really heavy. And a lot of the songs when we do the set list and we translate stuff to live and any of the alterations that we make, we're always thinking about what are people gonna take away from this? Like what would I want to go see? Like if I go see a band, and I'm like, that was really fucking cool. Like what do I want to see? And like what inspired me about bands live in specific. So how can we do that with our sets? Like how can we make them special or like latch onto them? And we keep certain songs around for certain things live too. Like you said, like the Trend Killer part, we're just like the meat of the song is this section, and that's the section that we play, and we always get a good reaction. Like every song I think has its place in the crowd. Recluse is cool too, because it's arguably the softest song. Maybe Blue might be arguably softer, but I'd say probably Recluse. And
Yeah.
yeah, that one is a very different song for us, and it's super introspective versus a lot of the stuff is outward directed and outlook on life versus that one. But that one has a place in the set. It's usually on the back half. It's the slower song. We usually go for Phone Lights on that one, and yeah, it's kind of how we structure our set very specifically. And I wouldn't say it ever causes arguments, but everyone's very passionate about the way. Definitely, I don't think we ever really argue about it, but we're always like, that song has to be like the forerunner of the set.
Hmm.
Like we're very specific.
I'm realizing now as I talk with you guys that two of my favorites were like you said, probably will two of the lighter, more melodic, or kind of more melancholy ones. But I gotta be honest with you, dudes, I love a good sad song. Like as much as I love like headbanging and like getting into it. Like I love songs that kind of have like a somber vibe, but still like really killer melody and really good rhythm and riffs too. And those two were really sick. And shout out to Gasfight too. That's another one. Like I have Spotify. And congrats, man, because on Spotify alone, that's over like 95,000. I think it's closing in on 100,000 streams. Like, how
And
sick is that for you guys, man? To see songs get, I mean, not on some ends we sorry, sometimes I preface before I ask a question and I rant too much. I'm working on it. um but like the reason I'm prefacing is because I know we live in kind of this age, like even me as a podcaster, you look at like, oh, followers or downloads or whatever. Um, but at the same time, like there are certain measurables, right? And I got to imagine for you guys who love music and like you said, growing up listening to what you listen to and getting into it, it's got to be kind of cool, right? To see something that just music that you created together and you have a song like that gets the kind of numbers that it's doing.
It's funny because we didn't expect, well, obviously you never really expect, you don't put out a song like that's gonna bang, but it's like we finished the song and it like, even in pre-production, like when we were first writing it, I was like, I don't think anyone's gonna like this song. I don't think, like, I think it's too weird of a song.
Yeah, we
Like
thought it was really weird,
it
but
was like almost too outlandish. I was like, dude, I was like, I like the song, but like, like I don't know if it'll translate,
I don't
whatever.
even know how the conversation of turning it into a single and the first single came
Yeah.
because like I remember writing it and showing them and they were like, ah, it's like kind of cool. The drop was crazy, but that was kind of cool. And then
Mhm.
we like rewrote it and we were like, this is cool. And then it got weirder and weirder. And we were like, all right, like I don't even remember the conversation of like turning that into the first single. I think we were just like, it's weird. And yeah, it's been really cool to see people like liking it and streaming it. It's definitely different because the prior releases were like, oh, like here's 10,000 plays or here's 5,000 plays or
Mhm.
whatever. And that's cool. Like that's great to grow as a band and see that your music is doing better and you feel like you're developing and growing, but it feels like inches over miles. And Gasfight was just like one day it got a TikTok revision and then everyone was just streaming it and it's just been going and we're just like sitting here and we haven't really talked about it. I think it's coming up on 100 pretty soon, which is insane.
Mhm.
I didn't expect 100K views on this EP within the year, and the one song is gonna do it, I guess. So
No.
yeah, it's wild. And it's such a weird song, honestly, but it's a cool song nonetheless. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's wild. I feel like that story, a version of that story exists with a lot of bands where it's like it's one that like we didn't expect to be a hit or didn't expect to be one that like latches on with people. I feel like that you hear that a lot, with artists like, yeah, I didn't we liked the song, but we didn't realize that was going to be the one that was going to, people were going to be replaying and replaying. But yeah, it's an awesome catalog, man. But yeah, Recluse, the melody in that, and just lyrically in that, I those songs like that, and like you said, Will, like I can totally see that being like you bringing the tempo down towards the back half of the set, you know, after people been running into each other and jamming out, you know what I mean? Bringing the vibe
In
to
our last 3 or 4
lower
days,
tempo.
it's for sure the
Yeah.
back. That song's always back half.
Mhm.
Yeah. Can you guys speak, and thanks again so much, dudes, for doing this. This is awesome getting into the songs with you. But can you talk about the vibe of that one? Like we were talking about, at the jump of this before I hit record about the meaning behind like March 4th. That song for me definitely I feel like fits into that mold in terms of just,
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
mentally and like lyrically.
So it's honestly, I guess it's more of a me song more than anybody else. I think I probably put the most writing down on it
Mhm.
when it came down to it. I wrote the demo out, and it was kind of a very basic structure and a very simple thing going forward. And then everyone was like, "It's just cool. It's different. It's vibey, but it's not a slow song. It's not like a ballad or nothing, but it's got a somber, big chorus vibe." And yeah, going into it, I think I spent a little bit more time on the lyrics with that one because I think we were coming off of Rat Race into that song, I believe was the single before. So Rat Race is obviously, super slamming, really in your face, very aggressive, very angry. And then coming down, and even Hostile right before that was fun and angry and high energy. And then coming down into that song, I was like, okay, like I gotta talk about something, I can't choose the same topic to do it again. So
Mhm.
I guess going into that, the song is sort of like it sounds very much so like it's directed towards somebody at first, and then the ending kind of ties it up with the last real lyric, as I'll call it, is the you're twisting the knife and it's my hand. So the whole song is like talking to somebody as if you're, asking them when they're going to kill you, but then in the end you realize that it's really yourself that you're dealing with. So Like I said, I spent time on this one because I wanted it to be like this reveal at the end. I wanted it to be like this the whole time you're talking to the person, you're asking them when, why, how, and then at the end, it's like this thesis moment for it of like, you and me are going at this together, but in all reality, it's really just me. It's so I wanted something that was like kind of the what is it called? Like the battle of man or theory of man or something like that. Duality of man. There you go. Couldn't
Mhm.
remember the lyrics.
Mhm.
It's about, like you want to do one thing and you want to do another, and they're kind of always clashing within you in some form. Something is always, you're always debating choices. You're never really deciding on choices. And so a lot of it's just about like the interpersonal struggles of, existing and what you're dealing with as a human. So it's the whole point of the song is basically asking how long before you get the better of me, and one of them will win at some point, whether it's good or bad, unfortunately, but somebody will win. But I really tied to the line like love you so morose, like I love you, but it's really disgusting that I do love you because I do care about myself, but at the same time I hate the things about myself that I don't like either. But at the same time, I have to love myself as a whole and accept myself for that, I guess. It's kind of an intensive topic.
Mhm.
If I'm being honest, I'm kind of laughing about it, but yeah, it's a very in-depth song and talking about, like at the end it's the I couldn't bury you like any other friend. A friend will die and you'll miss them and love them and mourn them, and you can bury them, but when you go to bury the parts of yourself that you don't like, you're only, really killing yourself at that point. So yeah, it's a gnarly song lyrically.
Mhm.
Yeah, man, and I appreciate you opening up about kind of the meaning behind it, because I know sometimes artists like to leave lyrics open to interpretation, to listeners, and kind of how it hits them. But I appreciate you sharing that, man, because like I said, like that one of the goals of this show, not to sound self-righteous, is to connect with people on that level, because we all have parts of ourselves that we don't like, and there's different ways to deal with it. Obviously, sadly, there's a lot of bad ways, unfortunately, that people deal with coping with those darker parts of themselves. But then there's healthy ways, right? Like what you guys are doing with music.
Yeah.
And it really is. It's crazy how music really is like uh like a sense. You know what I mean? Like how your sense of smell. I've said this a few times on the podcast, but that's the one that's most associated with memory, I believe. And it's crazy how songs are kind of like the same thing. Like I can hear a song, like if I hear Paper Cut from Linkin Park, like I'm like seventh grade. I remember seeing that music video. You know what I mean? Like it's how songs can kind of like take you back, or bring something out of you. And I like that that internal. I mean, I don't like it because I deal with those internal struggles too. I guess a better way to say it is I like the song exploring that. That's a good way to say it. Because I think everybody has those like darker parts of themselves, or like a shadow side. And I feel like the more you try to um like shove it in a closet, or like sweep it under the rug, like eventually you're gonna lift up that rug, or you're gonna open that closet and there's just gonna be a bunch of crap. You know what I mean? Like it'll explode at some point. So being able to deal with it, whether it's through music or through exercise, poetry, art, I think that's why art is so like important. And for people who aren't artistic that might listen to this, like you just being able to talk to somebody about it, because I feel like we all have those ride or dies. You can count on at least one hand the people that you're like, okay, I would trust that person with everything I have. So anyway, I just ranted as a response, but I appreciate you going into in depth about it, because I know sometimes it's hard to go to those places, but I think it's good to explore them,
Yeah.
because I feel like there'd be a lot of people who'd still be here if they felt like they could.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's, I mean, music and everything art wise is an expression, right? Like you should be allowed to express yourself. And I don't think we've ever, a lot of Resider songs, I can honestly say, are just, I don't want to say angry, but they're like forward um approach lyrically and very like out there. And like in all honesty, like we do collab. Like there's some songs where I'll do almost entirely by myself, and then there's songs that are like full collaborations between all of us, and we've done songs about his personal stuff, and I think we've done one about Nico's as well. And like, if not, I'm sure we will in the future because we tend to just we use Resider as an outlet to express ourselves, whether it's just through the instruments or not. It doesn't really matter. It's sort of like a collaborative expression. And sometimes some person wants to say something and they go, yeah, like I want to talk about this specifically. And we go, cool, we're going to write a song about that. I know we did that for Icon and I know we
Mhm.
did that for Too Late as well. And it
Mhm.
was just like, I felt like I was just a vessel lyrically channeling that. And I don't have any issue doing that. Like, I don't have to have the lyrics be perfectly in tune to my person in order for me to express them perfectly. A lot of times I feel like the lyrics just, I feel like I'm just channeling because I'll find as long as I can relate to it in some way and feel the energy behind the song, I can push, that performance out live for whoever. But if it's something I disagree with, then we have an issue. But that's, we're not really on that page ever with because a lot of it's, like I said, just expression at that point. And a lot of people feel the same type, everyone feels the same emotions. So you're gonna find a relation to it regardless. And like a lot of that. And that's what we choose to make Resider is kind of like a stand your ground and express yourself and do music the way that we've kind of wanted to do music. And like I said, a lot of it is outward facing, especially lately. A lot of this new music is very, very outward and very charged and angry. And it has to be. The songs are darker, the songs are heavier. We need angrier, heavier lyrics.
Mhm.
So we've kind of gone that route a bit.
Yeah, man, and again, I appreciate you sharing that. And AJ, we got to talk about the riffs too, man, because there's some good, like, I like to call it chug therapy. I hope you know what I mean when I say that. Like there's a lot of meat and potatoes in these riffs, man, and some cool like harmonic moments and like cool like breakdown moments. Getting into this new music, which as this episode is going to be out, like it's going to be right in the throes of the EP and the show, and new tunes. Um, Directionally, having been at this for a couple of years, what inspires you musically, like from a guitar player perspective, and especially a few years in now with Resider?
A lot of it is progression, I'd say. So obviously from our earlier catalog, I feel like I said earlier, like Spore Breath was like my first metalcore song, like whatever. It was very basic and it got my point across in terms of like aggression. And that's always what I try to push with riffs is I want to make sure that it's yelling as loud as he is, you know? So um I mean, from where we are now, it's always been how do I get louder? How do I make someone listen like per se like scream at the world and be like, "Hey, listen to this song." Like, how do I get them to listen? And it's by making very obnoxious noises, making riffs that are very punchy to the point where you're like, "Ooh, I like feel it." And then you listen to the lyrics, you're like, "Oh, I understand that too. Okay, this is my song." Like put two and two together. And for me, it's always been like, how do I push my point across? Or how are we pushing the song farther across and louder? And like the new stuff is just loud. It's just very aggressive and you hear, like I said, a lot of annoying noises, a lot of whammies, a lot of noise pedal, stuff like that. So it's just like for me it's always been how do I be louder? I mean, guitar is pretty loud, but like from being in an instrument, how do I get that across and how do I make our songs more aggressive? So it's always been progression for me.
What tuning are you in, man?
We are in C sharp in C and double drop C sharp in C.
Okay, I wondered if you were mixing it up a little bit, man, because it's got like the tone has like a really good crunch, man. Like I really dig the tone. Is there anybody like that inspires you from a tone standpoint? Because I feel like for guitarists, it seems like it's always like a constant search for like, am I dialed in the right way? Do I, like, is there anybody that really gets you like as far as a guitar player? You're like, yeah, that tone is really sick, or any records?
Every practice it changes.
Yeah, I mean every single time it changes. I mean, at the beginning of Resider, it was James from Boy Division. His guitar tones were always very grungy, and even if it was just guitar playing in a song, it was like, oh wow, like I'm heard, you know? So uh over the years it has progressed. Shout out to Fluff. I always love his guitar tones. It's very always been like riff city, and very like very deep guitar tones, and like um still screaming. And I think that always was like when I played Silverstein riffs, I was like, I want like Fluff tone. I want like his tone, because it's very gritty, and like you palm mute and you hear the deepness in it. It's like do, 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 do. Like, so it was always stuff like that. But I mean, I just find inspiration all the time. So it always changes. But those are two of probably like, if I had to look inside my riff DNA, it would be those two for sure. For sure.
Have you guys ever had to like exit a situation because you had like either a melody or a riff that came to you and you're like, I have to put this in my phone or the nearest recording device so it doesn't leave me? Like, how often do those moments happen during the day, either as like, you know, AJU as a guitar player, Will you as a singer? Like, do you ever wake up in the night and be like, I gotta get this, I gotta, so I don't forget it because I know in the morning it'll be gone.
I feel like I do it more with like synth melodies. Like I'm very big on our production, um, and like our like leads and stuff. It's funny you said that. I just did that on my drive here. I, I was like, I like heard something in my head. I was like, oh, that would be a cool melody for like a song, like not in a riff like type way, but like um if you were like, oh, like I like that like synth lead that's in the back. Like I was like, that would be cool in a song. Yeah, by the way, I do have that. So we'll have to like work on that.
Jesus.
But yeah, I do it sometimes with guitar, but I feel like I do it more with synth and productions. I know you lay down a lot of like,
I'm trying to get so much better at it. In
yeah.
the past, it used to be like if it doesn't come to me again, it wasn't good enough.
Mhm.
So if I didn't remember it off jump, I was always like, if I forgot it, it means it wasn't good. But nowadays, like, because I think ever since Hostile, because when we were writing Hostile, it was over FaceTime. It was very spur of the moment. It was, hey, I wrote a little part. Cool. Sending it to you. And then it was, hey, I wrote a part. Okay, that's sick. Okay. And then I was like, as soon as he had like the lay of the land in the song, I was like immediately just like singing top lines and melodies over it. And the chorus was pretty much like laid out before the song was even done. And I was like, all right, I already have the chorus. That's the hard part. So we're good there. And then it was so ever since then I've been like, I need to write more as we're developing the song lyrically and vocally rather than waiting till the very end and getting stuck. Because I remember being stuck with Rat Race and hating life.
Mhm.
And with Recluse, I specifically remember like driving to work at Brick by Brick, being like, I hate this chorus. I only have half of a chorus. I only have half a chorus. And I was just like singing it over and over in my head. And then I came up with the back half of the second chorus and was like, that's cool. And tracked it on my phone while I was driving. Terrible idea. And then I came because I had a shift. I had a fucking 6 hour shift of mixing bands, and I'm gonna forget that shit immediately. So put it on my phone, came back the next day, next morning, pulled it up, listened to it, and it just magically worked. And I was like, all right, I'm doing that so often from now on. So anytime I have like weird little like brain fart ideas where it's like I want a riff and a part to be like and I want it to be like da 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 vocal vocal vocal, I'll just track noises on my phone and then I'll come home and figure it out and then I'll give other people that, and I'll be like, all right, cool. This came out of my brain in 30 seconds, and it's whatever. Do whatever you want with it. That's how pissing came to be. It was
Mhm.
weird mouth noises that I was like making, tracked out part of a session and gave it to them, and then they made something and they made a song out of it. I was like, okay, like
I got really good at deciphering Morse code,
yeah,
because I was like, circle dot dot. Did you say line? Oh, okay, gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, I can do this, and I pick up a guitar and then just get it. So
Started
yeah.
being a lot better about it because the stupid ideas that you get in the spur, I feel like often are better than the ones that you sit listening to the part over and over and over again.
Hmm.
When
But
stuff just like comes out of the ether.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost always better. And you could be like literally washing dishes and you'll just hear like a I don't wanna, like whatever. And it's like often that will be 10 times better than you sitting down in a session with 10 people that are the best musicians in the world all trying to write the coolest song ever.
Hmm.
The stupid idea you had washing dishes is probably better than what 10 country artists that write the top 50 hits are.
Hmm.
Probably not, because those are, out make
They
millionaires at this
they
point,
make
but
the bank, but yeah, yeah. Yeah, I see what you
yeah,
mean.
a lot of times those dumb melodies come out a lot better than the ones that you really try for, like force.
Hmm.
So for everybody listening, this is going to be out July 29th, which Jade will be out to everybody's ears. How excited are you guys to get this out? And you kind of mentioned a little bit, Will, that like things are even more heavy and gnarly on this one. But what was kind of the mindset into getting ready for this EP?
Getting ready for it or writing it?
Yeah,
Yeah, like
in the like building it, or in the like being able to like enjoy it after.
I would say let's do both. Let's do part one, the building, and then part two, the enjoying it after it was put together.
so they both sucked. It's been a process.
Yeah.
I think building it was fun I think building each song was fun individually,
Mhm.
personally. I don't remember getting stuck too much on anything,
Mhm.
but I knew that when we went into it with Pissing and Gasfight coming off, we were like, okay, this is gonna be darker, this is gonna be heavier, and that was cool to have some direction.
Mhm.
Doing the release process has been I don't find the release process ever fun. I feel like it's always a grueling task of the artwork and the release dates and when's this coming out? What's that? Does that have this? Does that have that? That I always find not as fun as building the actual music and like slaving. I'd rather sit there and edit a vocal or like listen to the song 500 times in a day to work on something than somebody asks me, all right, what day do you want to release this and how do you want to release it? What do you want to post?
Mhm.
Like that part I kind of hate, honestly.
Yeah, but to have it out and like to finally have everything as a whole, like be like, hey, this dark EP that we wrote, this is it. It's like it's a little nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it's like, dude, I was like slaving over getting this riff down for like
Yeah.
months. Like I like need people to hear it, and I not that I need the feedback, but I would like to hear that like, oh, that like song, that new song on the EP, that one's sick. Like, how'd you guys do that? Then it's like, okay, that made my work worth it. You know, it's
That does
it's
that
like
does feel better.
it
It's
would
also
make me feel better for sure.
yeah,
So
it's also cool having your friends hit you up and be like, "Yeah, dude, that shit fucks."
yeah.
Like that was cool. That's a cool part right there or whatever. That's always really really nice because you've spent so much time, so many hours on it and you're just like, "Yeah. All
Mhm.
right. Cool. Somebody banged their head today."
Yeah.
Sick.
And it's also it'll be a new milestone for us because it'll be like we had the first EP and that was like a culmination of like who we are. It wasn't like, oh, this is one underlying layer. Like it was just like this is an EP of like songs we put together.
Yeah.
This is a whole EP that we're like, we want it dark, dark toned, like we're like this is what this is gonna be. So now I'm stoked to see how people like translate to it.
As a
Like I
whole,
said, yeah,
yeah.
like as a whole rather than like,
It's cool.
oh, it's just Gasfight's really good. It's
It
like there's
yeah.
good songs on there.
I feel like everything is a piece too, where it's not like everything is lyrically in the same vein, musically in the same vein. We definitely experiment with new things all the time and we try new stuff. And like this is the first one that we've done like the noise pedal and stuff like that. And we've tried new production. But I feel like this one actually is it's a piece and it all makes sense and it's all like packaged correctly together. It's not like here's a collection of songs or a
Hmm.
culmination of songs that we just liked and put together and called it an EP. This is something that we like spent time I don't want to say branding, but essentially, making it our own and like our own identity from the artwork all the way. The artwork's cohesive to the lyrics are cohesive to the sound is cohesive to the songs, and we're like very happy with some of the stuff that we experimented with and tried on with this. I feel like.
Yeah.
So the intention was like, hey, we want to make this to be looked at as like a a collective piece of art, whereas like the previous EP, it's like, hey, this is like who we are as a collection of singles that we put out for y'all. But this one, like with Shade, there was an intentionality of like, hey, we want you to digest this as like a piece of art, like with all the single or all the songs tying together.
Yeah, I think that was the intention, especially because like when we wrote Death Adder last, somehow we were like, that's the third single, and that's gonna be track one. We were just immediately like, yeah, that's track one. It sounds good. It's great. It sums up everything else together. It was like a piece of the puzzle that had been missing, you know. And we definitely had like 4 or 5 other demos, I want to say, maybe that we were like, no, 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 not like we had a good song that we did a writing session with and we liked it, but then we got down and we sat and we were like, I just can't see this being with these songs. And not that the song's bad, we just didn't like it, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we have now is like we're like, yes, like these will all work together, and then like the singles like show the highs and the lows, I would say, of like each part of the EP. So like Death Adder's the middle pretty much. Like I wouldn't say Pissing's the lowest, but it's like a lower, like it's still heavy, but it's not on like the oh my gosh. And then like Gasfight holds a spot. So we like showcasing those three first to be like, hey, this is like what you're gonna get on the EP. You got to hear the rest, but like this will like spark notes to your experience essentially. So
I think I'm most excited for Backfire too.
mm-hmm.
I think Ishimir is sick. I think I'm most excited for people to hear Backfire because I don't want to say it's the most different, but it has a very unique chorus to it compared to what we've done, and I'm very proud of that. But also, I think the riff on it absolutely rips, and it's very interesting.
Yeah. Very, very, very cool riff. Very hard riff to track, but
it was difficult. Took 4 hands.
It took 4 hands.
Or no. 5 hands. It took 5 hands. 2 to play the guitar, and 3 to hit the pedals.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Maybe it was 4 because we did do it without fluff. But yeah.
Well, somebody has to hit R,
Yeah, somebody had to. Yeah, we'll call it 5 hands.
It was 5. Yeah.
5 hands to track it. It was crazy.
So yeah.
Well, y'all's ears must have been ringing, man, because that was like what I was getting ready to ask you. Was which ones you're excited about to play live. So that's so AJ, are you already like just talking about that one? Or are you already thinking about how am I gonna pull that one off live?
Dude, it was a like in my head, I was like, how do I do it? But it's like we finished the song and I was like, cool, the song is so sick. Like I like listening to it, and then I'm like, haha, wait, how am I gonna play that live? And it was like, oh man, like yeah, so that planning process was crazy. I am very excited to play that song live, I think out of all of them. But I am also excited to open with Death Adder. I think that'll be like one of our more cooler songs to open with, that I'm like, yeah, this song will stay for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that song a lot. But yeah, it was a process to get Backfire live ready
song.
So yeah, everything is done for me because I run a quad cortex, so everything like MIDI changes for me, because if I didn't, I'd be like Dance Dance Revolution.
I think we figured out that it's literally impossible to play the riff.
It is very impossible.
Like it's actually impossible to play the riff without. No, it's so weird because you can't play it with like your feet and hands. You have to have like a third person doing something.
Yeah. So
I'm excited for y'all, man. Before I get you out of here, and thanks again so much, you guys, for taking the time to do this. I'm pumped. Since this is going to be the 29th when people hear this, which means it's going to be a few days ahead of the EP release, which is on a Saturday. So there's like, for anybody listening to this, like Friday, Saturday shows are the best because most people don't have to work the next day. So it's perfect. But how excited are you guys for the EP release show? Because it's going to be with the Undertaking, Hyper Vigilant, and Fire and Flesh are going to be playing with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm stoked. I think it'll be a good time. I mean, Undertaking, good friends. Hyper Vigilant is good friends, and that's our videographer's band. Fire and Flesh, we actually don't know. It was a band that the promoter recommended, and we were like, cool, that this seems to work. This sounds dope. So it's a solid lineup. We're very excited. I work at the venue, and I'm really excited to finally put Resider there. We have never played the venue that I literally work at.
Mhm.
So that's really fucking cool to like actually finally put us there, and it's like really good friends with the owner, really good friends with the manager, good friend, all of our friend, like a couple of our friends are there as like the sound people and like the audio guys, and the bartenders are awesome. Shout out Tyler always. So like we're super excited to play there, but I think the show is going to be awesome. Like we're really really stoked for that. At least I am.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm super excited, and more importantly to like play the EP front to back. We're playing the EP front to back, and then we're gonna play like um our greatest hits, I guess. I don't really want to say that, but yeah, it's like the set itself I love because it's all of the new songs, and then it's all of the songs that we enjoy playing the most live, I feel like. I don't know if that's the same for you, but
Yeah, it's mostly the same.
It's like all of the ones we know translate to people who haven't seen us or like have been listening to us, that hopefully they're excited to see, so
Yeah.
it's a good set. I'm actually really stoked on that.
Yeah, like I said earlier, the set is very deliberate, and we spent time. We knew we were going to play the EP first. We knew we were going to play it all the way through. It's no point in doing an EP release show if you're not going to play it all the way through.
Yeah.
But then all the other songs were like, yeah, it's just like the greatest hits type vibe, and like let's just rip the ones that we like playing the most. And every song has its place with crowd interaction and how we've seen it received on tour, and we're just really really stoked on that specifically.
I'm pumped for you dudes, man. And just a few more before I let you go. And thank you so much, y'all, for taking the time to do this. It was I'm really looking forward to talking with you guys, and so I really appreciate the time. Um, we got to give Joey an Overshadow a shout out, man. Like I said, we got linked up a few months back. Um, and he's a really good dude, and we got linked up through also shout out Mark from Bury the Darkness, and so that's what's been cool about doing this podcast is getting linked up with other people who love music and heavy music like me, who throw awesome artists like yourselves my way. But how did you guys get linked up with Joey, man?
Through Greg from A Moment's Notice, kind of like we did a tour with A Moment's Notice last year, and Greg was kind of like, yeah, I've been talking to this dude, Joe and Shan, and Shan from SPG Records. He owns both Overshadow and SPG, and so Overshadow's kind of a subsidiary sort of thing. And yeah, he was just kind of like, yeah, Joe wanted me to ask you guys and wants you guys to hop on a call and see what you can do. And we're like, yeah, totally. So we took the shot, and honestly, like, not to just be like our label is great, our label is awesome, but like I talk to Joe so often, and he's really great. He's been the best for us. Like we came through Sacramento, and he came out, and him and Shan both came out actually, and they like hung out with us, and we've been really happy with him. And Joe's just sick. I just like the dude,
That guy's wild. I love that guy. But yeah, even on tours I haven't done with Resider, but I see him at shows, and he'll come and be like, "Yo," and be like, "Yo, like, what's up?"
Yeah.
He's like, and so yeah, we just always hang and stuff. So it's cool to have someone that cool back our band as much as he does.
Yeah.
And um I guess like trust our process.
Yeah, he's very cool because he's as hands-on as we need him to be and as hands-off as we need him to be.
Yep.
So it's like when it comes to the music and stuff, he's kind of like, that's your guys' wheelhouse. If it sucks, I'll tell you, but it's not sucking. So he's like, I let you guys do your process. And like, he's like, all I care about is you give me good music on time. And he's like, other than that, like, we're great. And I was like, okay, you're making it easy. But yeah, he's been great for the most part. I'm gonna leave it, make him wonder if there's a complaint to be had.
Yeah, I mean, from following on socials, and like the first time he emailed me, he sent me like a really kind, thoughtful email. And shout out to Sergio too from A Moment's Notice. Everybody keep him in positive spirits. That dude's a fighter, man, and he was the first guy he sent my way, and had a great conversation with him. And just from following him on Instagram from following Joe on Instagram. I never, by the way, I heard you guys saying Joe, and there's a few times I've addressed him as Joe and Joey. So Joe, if you end up listening to this and you don't like Joey, my bad, man. But from following him on Instagram, man, like I can tell he really loves music, which maybe that sounds dumb to say. Well, it's like, yeah, dude, of course he's doing like label stuff, but you know, you hear horror stories in the music industry sometimes, unfortunately, you know, of like the bad part of the business. And just from like seeing the Instagram stories that he posts and listening to other conversations, like snippets of conversations I've heard with him and like following him on social media, he seems like a dude that like genuinely loves music and like heavy music. And I feel like working with somebody like that who also loves music, and it's not just like business, business, business. You know what I mean? Like you were talking to about earlier, Will, like in AJ about like the okay, like posting and like because I know in today's day and age, the social media thing, it's bands are marketers too. It's crazy, you know. I mean, the version of that back in the day was like flyers and you know getting the word out and whatnot. And now it's like, hey, did you post? Did you do? You know, even doing podcasting, right? But a long way of me saying he seems like a guy just from the interactions that we've had, you know, via email and online, like somebody who genuinely good dude who really loves music, and that's got to be I love being around people who love music like me because I can talk about it all day, you know?
Yeah.
That's definitely, I think that's definitely a plus side for sure, is having somebody who's like in the genre. I would even say, I'm sure, and he's from the background of like horror story records.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows that dark side. So I think that kind of affected him in like a, hey, this isn't what I got into it for kind of thing, which is really, really cool to have somebody in your corner that's knows the darker side and knows the shitty back end that can be and doesn't want to be that
Mm-hmm.
specifically.
Well, dudes, this has been awesome. I'm gonna only throw a couple more your way because I don't want to chew your ear off all night. And I really appreciate you guys giving me your time, especially being a couple hours behind. And everybody obviously go jam the new EP. Go check them out on Saturday. Uh, but a couple of quick hitters I want to hit you with. Well, I say quick hitters. I didn't prep you, so it's gonna probably give you some time to think. But you guys are mentioning the artwork and having that being a real tie-in with the EP too. Um, Off the dome, any favorite album artwork that wow, my Midwest accent came out bad in that album. Any favorite artwork off the dome that really sticks out to you that you would put in like a time capsule for people on Mars in like 30, 50?
Ooh, that's cool. That is
Yeah.
really cool.
What you got? What you got?
I mean, I reference this band all the time, and I've said multiple times on this podcast already. But Boy Division has a an album called Hyper Days, and the whole album, the cover of it, it's like a cutout like checker. It's like black, and it says Hyper Days and like this like what is it called, like cyber sigilism
Cyber
like type
Vigilant? Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
font, and then
That is a cool album though.
it looks like a like someone tore a piece of like the wallpaper off, and just in that one area it's checkerboard. And I think that is just like the coolest like thing I've ever seen. And then they did a deluxe version where instead of the black with the checkerboard, it's lime green and then it's checkerboard. And I just think that's just the coolest
Like
looking
inverted
thing.
or like alternate color.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, it's yeah, because it's like their main album and then the deluxe, and I just think it's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life ever.
Dude, I don't think I can think of anything off the top of my head where I'm sure there's pieces out there that I'm like fuck yeah about, but I don't think I can genuinely just pull something out of thin air without like deep diving my favorite bands and being like,
I do have an honorary one. A Day to Remember's Homesick.
yeah, that's a solid one.
I think that is so
On
like
that note,
so
same
sick.
artist, Parkway Drive's Deep Blue, same artist,
Ooh, true.
crazy like concept. That dude did a lot. He did like Die Hard is Murder, he did A Day to Remember Homesick, he did Parkway Drive Deep Blue, he did something else. That dude is awesome. Whatever artwork, he's done like 4 or 5 really big albums in the scene, and I feel like that artwork is super sick that he does in general. But I think Deep Blue out of the collection is my favorite. That one pulled the memory out of me because that Deep Blue album is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna Google them real quick. We'll give them a shout out. Parkway Drive, Deep Blue. That is a sick album. I saw them here in Nashville with Memphis Mayfire.
Mhm.
That was a sick show. That was the first time I had seen Parkway live because I missed them. Like it was pre-apocalypse, pre-COVID, and they did a co-headlining tour with Killswitch, one of my all-time favorites
Oh, that's
too.
cool.
Um,
We drive Kill Switch Engage headliner.
That's
Oh,
so sick,
dude,
yeah.
that's so cool.
they played Nashville, and I missed it. I waited too long, and it sold out. And then COVID happened, and I was like, damn it. So then when Parkway Drive was coming through again, and shout out Memphis, they're sick, and a lot of those guys. In fact, I think they might all be locally in like the Nashville
Yep.
area, not to blow up their spot, but all good dudes. And that man, that show that was sick. It was at Marathon here in Nashville, um, which is nice for like an older gentleman like myself because I could be kind of by the bar area, not be in the throes of
Yeah.
the pit. You know what I mean? Stretch out the knees a little bit, but Parkway Drive, Deep Blue Artists. Sorry, I'm ranting again. I want to
I'm
give this
very
guy.
curious what that was. That dude used to have like a really specific style, and he did multiple bands. I know there was a Thy Art album, Homesick and Deep Blue, but I can't remember what else he's done. But he has a very cool. Oh, Miss May I. He also did
Mm,
Miss May I's first album as well.
mm.
That was another one. It's a very specific art.
Artwork is Dan Mumford.
Yup. Yup.
Is that his name? Dan Mumford.
Yep. That rings a bell for sure.
Shout out Dan Mumford. Well, I'll leave you guys with this. And AJ and Will, thank you again so much, you guys, for taking the time to join me on the podcast. Everybody go jam shade. Go out to the show on the second. But with the theme of the show being perseverance and moving forward, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit already with Recluse and y'all's music. But not that I'm asking you to be a doctor, but because this show is for entertainment purposes. But obviously, music is a big outlet for you guys and a big force in your lives. What are some things that have helped you get through the dark days that you feel like maybe somewhat universal to somebody who might be struggling right now? Things that have helped you cope, or things that have helped you get to a better headspace.
You want me to go?
Mhm.
Things to get to a better headspace, man. I mean, first and foremost, it's obviously like you should talk about your problems with somebody, address what you gotta address. I feel like that's very important. I think communication in every day is the most underrated thing that we take for granted with everything from work life to mental health to music to everything. I think communication is our most significant tool in society and human life. And I think that's something that we take for granted. And I think that that's the main thing that everyone should really focus on is how do you communicate better with people? How do you communicate with people? How you say things. Like I say things the wrong way a lot of times, and that doesn't mean that I mean it. It just means that maybe I've said it the wrong way to a certain person and they don't understand. So I think communication is by far the most important thing, first and foremost. But outside of that, just dealing and coping, I think, a lot of times is staying busy with things that you enjoy. Don't waste your time on stuff that's not something you don't like. If you're unhappy, do something about it in a positive way. If you don't like where you are, don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to like skip to the next song, basically, if you're unhappy somewhere or something, like just don't be afraid to take that first step to do something else. Don't think you've wasted your time. Just consider it a learning experience and move on. I think that's probably one of the best pieces of advice I could give anybody is just it wasn't a waste of time. It was just a learning process. You spent all of that time learning. So just, I played drums in bands until I was 20 years old. And at 20, I decided that I wasn't a good drummer and I wanted to learn vocals. So I started my whole journey over. I don't think drums was a waste of time. I think if anything, it helped me be a better vocal. It helped me go into vocals being better. Weird example, but I definitely think that that's for sure the best thing. That's a good way. Stay busy and always treat everything as if it's a learning experience, for sure.
Mhm. I think for me, I always think of like my dark days as like the the low point right before something really good happens. So I always think of like if I'm ever sitting and I'm just like, man, I'm like bummed out. And I'm like, wait, I'm bummed out now. How long have I been bummed? I've been bummed for what, 4 days? That means I'm like overdue for something good to happen,
Yeah.
right? So like it's just I don't know, it's like a weird psychology thing I always do. It's just like I can be at my absolute lowest, but I'm like, dude, that means I then my mind starts switching to like, well, what is that good thing that's gonna happen? You know, am I gonna get like free ice cream or so? You know, like something good is gonna happen. You know, it's just like how not saying that's how my life's always been, but it's like it's just a reoccurring pattern that I've seen ever since I started doing it, like over the past couple of years. So I'm like, dang, like right now sucks, but I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get like someone's gonna pay for my dinner. I'm gonna find a $20 bill on the street or something. Like I know something is gonna happen. And when I start thinking about those possibilities, that's when I like my brain starts getting out of it. I like don't even focus on like why I was sad or like, you know, like what got me down to that point. Then I'm like, okay, well, life is like starting to look up. And then usually it gets better. It just, yeah, that's not saying that that's just basically how that's going to work, but like I always trick my own brain into like thinking something gets better. And usually it does because, you know, you don't stay in that rut for forever. And that's just how life goes, you know? So,
Sure.
Ebbs and flows for sure. Hell yeah, man. Well, AJ, Will, thank you again so much, y'all, for taking the time to do the show tonight and for going a little bit over. I try not to rant, but I get excited doing these conversations, man. I love music, and I can just tell from listening to your work to this point, how much effort that you guys put into it, and it's definitely in my wheelhouse, man. And I'm a big fan of y'all's sound, and I can't wait to listen to Shade, man. So everybody go jam Shade. Go check them out on August 2nd if you can get there. The links will be in the podcast description. But if people are unfamiliar listening to this, if they're first time listeners aboard the pirate ship, as I like to say, that's an Easter egg for any Goonies fans out there. Um, that's one of my favorite movies. But let them know where they can find you on the interwebs if they're unfamiliar.
Resider official. If you're looking for us individually, mine is it's AJ with it. You can figure that one out.
Terrible spelling.
It's very terrible. It's like if it's like slang spelling, so it's like AYEJAY. It's like hey, you know. So, but more importantly, go to Resider
Yeah, you can
official.
find us through the Resider.
You can
page.
find us probably through there,
Yeah,
but
that's the easiest way.
yeah, and then Resider on Spotify, wherever you consume music. And if you find something that you can't consume us on, hit us up and we will fix that.
Everybody asks for the Bandcamp. They want to pay for things.
Dude, yeah, I think that is insane. Like I mean I'm super appreciative of it, but like
just go stream it 5,000 times.
just go stream it. And
Yeah, that'll pay
the
for
same,
it.
yeah. So
that'll do me more.
Yeah.
It doesn't line my pockets, but
yeah, I mean
it looks good.
It makes me happy, and that's all that matters.
Well, guys, thanks again so much, man. I genuinely appreciate the time. It's been great chatting with you, and you guys have an open invite anytime you want to come back on. And shout out and big thanks to Joey again for setting it up, man. Everybody's been good people so far that I've dealt with in y'all's wheelhouse and circle with Overshadow and Joe. So appreciate y'all, man.
Let's go.
Alrighty, dighty, there you have it. That was my conversation with AJ and Will from Resider. Make sure you go follow these guys on Instagram at Resider Official. The links to all of their stuff will be in the podcast description for this episode. So just scroll down to the bottom of that podcast description, hit those links, and go follow and support Resider. Once again, their new EP, Shade, is out now, available wherever you get your music. So go run up the numbers on Shade. And if you are in SoCal, this Saturday, August 2nd, they will be playing at Brick by Brick in San Diego, California for their EP release show for Shade. They're going to be playing with the Undertaking, Vigilant, and Fire and Flesh. So once again, hit those links in the podcast description Go follow these guys on Instagram, and you will get all the deets for tickets for that show. I just want to say directly to AJ and Will, thank you so much, you guys, for taking the time to come on the podcast and chat with your boy. I know I can have a tendency to rant. I try not to too much during the actual conversation, but genuinely a big fan of what you guys are doing and the music that you're putting out there. It was so much fun to go back and listen to your catalog, and I was excited to listen to Shade. Listen to that bad boy the day it came out on Friday. Before this episode came out today, and I really dug it, man, front to back. I love what you guys are doing, and it was cool to go back, like I said, and listen to the music leading up to this, man. So I hope you guys keep doing your thing and chasing your dreams with Overshadow. I want to give a big thanks once again to Joe from Overshadow. And Joe, I hope I didn't say your last name wrong, brother. I heard it said that way on another podcast, so I hope I didn't butcher your last name, dude. But thank you so much, Joe, for sending the guys in Resider my way, for sending Sergio and A Moment's Notice my way. Sergio, I'm thinking about you, brother. You're a tough dude. Everybody, Sergio is awesome, and that conversation was a lot of fun as well. And he's a diabetic and is an absolute trooper. So I want to give a shout out to A Moment's Notice and Sergio, man. He's a trooper and a battler, and they're sick as well and have new music out as well. So everybody on Overshadow is awesome. Shout out to my buddy Mark Rosenfeld once again from Bury the Darkness. They are also sick out of Arizona. So everybody from Resider, A Moment's Notice, Bury the Darkness. Again, AJ, Will, Joe, Mark, I really appreciate all you guys, man. And everything that you're doing right now is awesome. And I'm just very, very grateful to connect with great people like you out here in the entertainment world and in music, man. Because I've heard horror stories, and I've been really lucky and really blessed, and I'm extremely grateful to connect with great people like yourselves. So once again, everybody, go run up the numbers on Shade. Go check out Resider. If you get a chance, go to the show in San Diego at Brick by Brick on August 2nd. And that's going to be a wrap on this week's episode. If Resider did bring you here and you're brand new to the March 4th fam, if you would be so kind to take the time to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. All of those things go a long way in helping the show get out to more people, especially if you leave a rating on whatever streaming service you're listening to. I have Spotify. They do a 5-star rating. Apple, I believe, also does a 5-star rating. And on both of those streaming services, you can leave comments in the individual episodes. You can leave comments on the podcast. Those things go a long way in helping the show rank higher in the algorithm, the one word that is like ruling all of our lives right now. If somebody would have told me when I was 12 years old, hey, Mike, the word algorithm is going to like determine so much of what you see and experience every day, I'd be like, what is that? I'm just trying to get through like topics in pre-calculus without pulling my hair out, man. But yeah, those things help the show get out to more people, man. So same thing with social media. Like I said, follow Resider at Resider Official. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube at March 4th Pod, POD. The link tree to everything that I do and past work, past stories that I wrote when I used to be a music feature writer. Those are in my link tree as well. So if you want to learn more about your boy, check it out. But really appreciate everybody listening, man. Again, I genuinely love doing this. Big fan of what Resider is doing. And for everybody out there, man, I just hope that these conversations, beyond being entertaining, hopefully inspire you to keep changing your dreams. Inspire you to keep chasing your dreams. There you go, Mikey. I had my espresso today and I'm like humming right now, y'all. I've done like this close 5 times because my energy is like, I'm bouncing off the walls. But keep chasing your dreams. There you go, Mikey. Get it out. Because that's what life is all about, man, is discovering whatever it is that you love and building a community around that, and trying to lift people up along the way as you share your gifts, whatever they are, with the world, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Keep the faith and be kind to one another and be kind to yourselves. Courtesy of Resider, off of their new EP Shade, here's the song Ishimura. Peace.